Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, and welcome again to a new episode of Take the Leap. This podcast really is trying to bring to you trailblazing women who started like you and me, in a very ordinary place, I would say, and then by taking a leap and overcoming certain obstacles, they have now become extraordinary. So I am here to invite Dion Johnson. Dion has been such an inspiration, and you'll know why when you read when she actually tells her story, which I read recently, and I was so inspired. Dion, please tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do today.
All right. So, hi, and thank you for having me on Take the Leap. And I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. So, my name is Dion, and I work with board level women in board level leadership. And, I really believe that boardrooms are very important places. Boardrooms are places that platforms that can really change our world. And so I think it really matters who's sitting around those tables, who's in those rooms. And so my work is really all about working with the women that are in those rooms, sitting at those tables. And, part of those conversations that are shaping culture, that are making really important decisions about how organizations impact their people and impact society. I like that level of conversation. And so my work is really making sure that these women come with their true voice. They bring their ideas with power and authority. I like to say that my work is about helping women to really own their authority, to be at that table and to step into their power, to express their true voice and bring their ideas and insights in a credible, influential way. So, yeah, I'm very passionate about the way that women show up in leadership.
Thank you. That is a very inspirational goal, and I mean, we know the board numbers or the long way we have to go to have more women in board levels. So you're doing such important work, Dion.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about your career and personal trajectory. You're doing work at quite a different, level of society than when you started your career trajectory. And I'm particularly interested in that story around when did you find that you took the biggest leap in your career and life, and many times, I mean, these are linked, right?
I,
What
I'm
was
really,
the
I'm really
context?
fascinated by this whole the whole notion of a leap. If you look in the dictionary, it talks about a sudden big movement from one place to another. And when I think back over the years and all the leaps that I've taken, and I think that we're all taking leaps a lot, all of us. Sometimes they weren't sudden at all. Sometimes they had a long period of thinking about this need for a shift. They had this long period of contemplation and dissatisfaction and discomfort that precedes the actual movement, right? And sometimes it's not a geographical movement. Sometimes it's a shift in thought. Sometimes it's a decision that to be thinking differently, a different place in consciousness. So this leaping issue, like I think that we're all taking leaps. It's just that sometimes our leaps aren't massive geographical shifts. They don't look, you can't, it doesn't look like there's been a difference, but there's been a difference on the inside. And I understand this really well. When I like to say that I was born with a facial disfigurement, and so I didn't develop conventionally in my mother's womb. And so when I was born, I had quite a pronounced facial disfigurement. The bottom of my face was gaping. The top of my head was asymmetrical. So I spent a lot of time in my early years, right up into my adulthood, having corrective surgery. And as part of that process, I was gifted this artificial eye, which was this plastic shell to fit over my disfigured eye, and these big dark glasses. So they were big like this and they were very dark. And the whole point of these gifts were to hide my scars, hide my facial flaws, hide my disfigurement. And so from the age of 4 years old, I wore my masks, to show up in the world. I wore these very physical hiding implements to
Mm,
help me to blend in, to look more normal, to not stand out.
mm.
And so that's how I lived my life, Shivanji. That's how I went to school. That's how I went to university. That's how I went into the world of work, wearing my masks.
And
And
you were told that this is a gift and this is there to help you. I mean,
oh, I remember the day that I got fitted with my artificial eye. I remember the doctor standing behind me there, my mum standing behind me there, and the three of us looking at me with this thing, this appendage on my face. And I remember his words. He said to me, "There you go, my love. Now you're beautiful." And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, I don't know about beautiful, but I think I look a bit more normal. Not sure. Jury's out." But that's why I mean, they gave it with such love, and I don't think that anybody back then could have. I mean, they wanted to help me, and I
Mm,
don't think that anyone back then could have looked at that situation and realized what it was teaching me. But actually, it was teaching me that if something doesn't look like everybody else, if something's not normal or like everyone else, if something is different, if something is flawed or broken, then you better hide that thing. You better put it away. You better conceal it. You better just bury it deep so that nobody gets to see it. Nobody knows that you're carrying this thing. No one knows that this is yours. Like, you have to hide that thing. So I became a master hider through my life. And I did well. I climbed the career ladder. I did all the things. But the experience of my life was, I like to describe it like, it's like I had the foot on the gas. I was always going somewhere, doing something, achieving something, going after something. But also I had my foot on the brake simultaneously. So
mm,
it's kind of like my life was stuttering and I didn't understand why up until 2009, like my turning point, take a leap year, right?
mm,
So in 2009, it was a very special year. Lots of things were happening. Um, Obama, the black man, went into the White House, you know, um, like this was incredible news. Like there was this sense that anything is possible, and at the very same time, the UK was officially in recession. So
mm,
there was all this talk about these amazing people. Michael Jackson died that year. So there's, his extraordinary talent and his extraordinary gifts and this superhumanness, all these big people, and then there's the rest of us in recession who were destined for the breadline, and we were going to suffer, and things were very bleak. And so I found myself kind of in the middle of these two types of conversation, thinking, I don't know where I fit in that. I know that I'm powerful, I know that I'm great, I've got gifts and talents, and I really genuinely want to make a difference in the world, but I don't see myself in this kind of starlight like these Obamas and Hillary Clinton and Michael Jackson figures. But I also really detest the idea of being in this kind of doom bread on the breadline, the victim of recession kind of camp. And I started to question my life, and I started to feel a huge dis-ease around who I was being, how I was showing up in my life, how I was showing up in my work. It all looked quite impressive, but it was just like it never quite took off. It's all very lots of movement, but not much impact like I wanted to make. There was a mismatch somehow. And so this was an ache inside of me. I realized that I wanted something to be different, so different. And I didn't know what, I didn't know how to take a leap into a different type of experience in life. And then my aunt died. And when my aunt died, it was one of those, one of those aunties who are like your mum.
mm.
One of those aunties
I
who,
have one of those, yes.
yeah, like, her
Yeah,
kids were like my brothers and sisters.
yeah.
We all kind of lived
Mhm.
together. It was like that. And when she died, it was a real kind of in on top of all this year of me being stuck between these two types of conversation, feeling this ache and dis-ease around my life. Then my aunt dies, and it just feels like this whopping great big, straw that breaks the camel's back.
Mm.
I went into a real dark place, and long story short, I ended up finding myself like at the funeral. I lost my glasses.
Mm.
I lost my glasses, and I didn't want to go to the funeral because I felt like I don't go anywhere without my dark glasses. I don't let anybody see me without my mask on.
Mm.
That was the day that I had to decide that I was going to go anyway, and it was a real painful going. I remember feeling like when people looked at me, I remember feeling like, oh, I
Mm.
just felt so uncomfortable. People looking at my face without my dark glasses on, without my mask. And then, long story short, this boy called me ugly, and it felt like it brought me to my knees. It just felt like I don't understand what's happening. I don't know why this is so painful. But right there on my knees, I started to have this, I like to say, a conversation with God. And I heard these questions in that still small voice on the inside of me saying, but why is it such a big deal for you to be hiding yourself like this? You
Mm.
know, why won't you let people see the real you?
Mm.
Why don't you show up for real? Why won't you quit hiding and let people understand who you are? Let
Mm.
people see the real you, Dion. And this felt ludicrous. Like this felt like why would I want to go there? Why would I want to what it would be unfair. I found myself thinking it would be so unfair to make people see this face. It would be so unfair to not wear the dark glasses and hide. It would, because people wouldn't like what they see. Like people wouldn't like how I am. People, it wouldn't be fair. It would make people uncomfortable. Well, when
Mm.
I heard myself saying this, I was shocked. I didn't know that I was thinking this way about myself. I didn't know that I was thinking that that my genuine appearance was so repulsive that it wouldn't be fair to subject people to it. So, I thought that I've got to do something about this. And this was when I decided that I am going to take the leap. I am going to decide, that I'm going to let people see the real me. I'm going to let people see. Back then, Shivanji, I was talking about my face. I was
Yeah.
talking about not wearing the artificial eye, not wearing the dark glasses, and letting people see this face. But what happened in the weeks and months after that was that it became more about, I began to realize that I'm not just hiding my face, I'm hiding a whole lot about me. I've
Mm.
become so disconnected with how, showing up over there, like wearing one mask to be like how they want me to be, and showing up over there to be how they expected, and showing up over here in another way to try and help them to like me and think I'm okay, and trying to fit in here and trying to blend in there. Like I realized in this journey of unmasking my face that it wasn't just my face that needed unmasking, that actually I wasn't showing up congruently, authentically, like the true me anywhere.
Mm. Mm. And
And
I
this,
think that is the story, Dion, that, and I mean, you have this very powerful metaphor with your glasses and,
yeah,
this, physical masking that you were doing.
yeah,
It's a story, however, that I hear a lot. As you know, with private mentoring, we have the opportunity, and I've had the privilege to speak to several women over the years. And I think that is a story that many can relate to, because
yeah,
there is this assumption that if you bring yourself, if you bring, the full power of you and the full voice of you, that is going to make other people uncomfortable.
yeah,
And it is not just a story. Sometimes, women have been told that, right? They have
yeah,
been told, oh, she's very aggressive.
yeah,
An assertive woman would be told that she's very aggressive, or she is too much, or she is difficult. If she speaks up, then she is difficult, right?
yeah.
So I think, though your circumstances are very, very specific, I think the experience is quite shared. And
I mean, that's my experience, because I decided right there on the floor with my hands up in the air, crying out to God, saying something is hurting, I'm hurting. I felt the call from that still small voice on the inside of me: take the leap to allow people to see you.
Mm.
Take the leap to show up in your own life, in your own leadership, as the real you. And I went on this journey of really trying to work out what that meant. And
Mm,
as I started to share it, after a couple of years of walking that out, I started sharing my story, and I got letters from people all around the world. Literally, I made a video, and I got mail from people all around the world, beautiful women from all types of background, all levels of leadership, like just telling me, I don't have a face like yours, Dion, but I know what it is to be
mm,
hiding. I know what it is to be suppressing. I know what it is to be punching below my weight, or playing small, or just trying to please everyone and losing myself in the process. So, yeah, I absolutely agree that this is something that is a universal story for us as women. But it's just not okay now. It's just not okay for us to continue losing ourselves for the sake of trying to please everyone else, and meet everybody else's expectations about who we should be.
mm, mm. I mean, I recently saw that message. I think there is a reason that the new movie Barbie, well, not so new anymore, is probably a worldwide hit. I mean, I actually resonated so much with that message that the character played by the American actress America, where she actually goes in this monologue and says how you have to be beautiful but not too beautiful. You have to be good but not too good, and everything, and then you have to be continuously grateful. You be grateful for everything that is offered, and everything is just so tiring, right? So I think that's something that resonated, and though it is probably shared by women, I know very well that it is an experience that is shared by immigrants. It's an experience
Yeah,
shared by minorities. It's an
yeah,
experience shared by people on the spectrum.
yeah.
There are, those experiences are shared whenever you are in a situation where you are not, you or the way
You're
you
not
are is not the prevailing narrative, right?
right.
Shared one, yeah, yeah,
But the
yeah.
good news is, though, that it's a new day. It's a new day in leadership. It's a new day in workplace ethics. It's a new day in society, and what we're seeing right now is that there is this call, a global call incumbent upon all of us in this post-pandemic recovery season to do things differently,
Mm,
to create new outcomes, to
mm,
close gaps in society, to transform outcomes for people and for the planet and for future generations. There is this need for us to value people as much as we value profit,
mm,
for us to care about generations to come and the planet as much as we care about personal status and personal achievement and personal power. So you see, there is an expansion happening, and there's
mm,
a call for expansion of the way that we lead, and the way that we produce results, and the way that we care for people, and the way that we think about the future. And so that represents a new demand on leadership, and new demands requires new ways of thinking. New demands requires new ways of doing things, new approaches. And you can't and we can't tap into that new if we're all trying to wear masks to be like the dominant group. We can't find those new ways forward if we're all suppressing our ideas and trying to sound the same, or nodding in the same places, or citing the same research, or saying the same narrative. Like
yeah.
there is a need for or a diversity of thought around how we accomplish what we're being called to accomplish in the marketplace and global leadership. Like there is a need for the nuanced, quirky, different thinking, nuanced thinking, you. And I believe that with that new mandate comes a call for us all to venture, to take a leap outside of the masks that we're wearing, to go beyond the persona that we've built to try and fit in. That there is now a call for us to take the leap outside of that persona and really decide, what is true about me? Who am I really? What am I here to do? Why am I here? What do I want to say? What do I really think? If I'm not trying to fit in, what do I really think? What is it that I really want to say? What is it that I really think should be different? What is a change that I really want to see? Now, these are questions that we are being invited to leap into. These are questions that we're invited to embrace and take seriously. And that's why I do the work that I do, because now it's not, business as usual is obsolete. And we need authentic, nuanced thinking leaders to show us the way forward.
Sure, sure. I this morning, and it is interesting that the coincidence that I'm speaking to you, but a dear friend of mine wrote this morning that she's been made redundant, and I said, did it come as a surprise? Because she seemed very serene about it, right? And she said, no, not necessarily. It has not really come as a complete surprise. We were losing clients, and guess what? This is where the kicker, right? Where she says that DNI is not so fashionable anymore. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, wow, because of course I have been reading the news that a lot of organizations have let go of the DNI head role, or the DNI head position, or combined it with, some other existing more day-to-day or normal positions.
Yeah.
And I wonder, to those people like my friend at this moment, when things feel as if they are not changing for the better, what would you say, Dion? When things feel as if, oh my God, there we go again.
I feel exactly the same about the D&I initiatives. Like, I'm bored to death. And because I think that exactly what we're talking about, I think that we're saying things from a persona, but
Mm,
behind the persona, there is not a real heartfelt, authentic commitment to the things that we're saying on the outside. So it's like we're talking heads. It's like we've got these words and this
mm,
noise. It's a very noisy space, but behind the scenes, in boardrooms and in leadership spaces, there's not the same kind of congruent commitment to what we say we want to achieve. If we had that, then we would be able to achieve anything. We've seen this,
mm,
in the pandemic, we locked the whole world down in a week. We can do whatever we say we're going to do, but where without authentic congruent commitment, it does not happen. But
mm,
what I say to your friend is, we can't just keep trying um, to lead in places where we think it's fashionable or follow the next shiny thing. Your friend has an opportunity now to say, who am I?
mm,
What is my work about? It's never been easier
mm,
to show up
mm,
as the real you. We
mm.
have platforms that you can go ahead and share your ideas and your insights. Anyone can write a book now, but what we have to do is do the work to find out who we are. And
Mm.
it's like that video. I don't know if you've ever seen the video about how to start a movement. You know,
Yes, yes.
you start shining, you start sharing your authentic self, and then you bring people who are attracted to that to you, and you begin to do the work that you're here to do. Now this it's a real process, this journey of like we say it, show up as a real you, but what does that mean? Like we have to ask ourselves, what does that mean for us? For me, it was the pain of losing my glasses around my aunt's funeral that really woke me up to the pain of my life, and the kind of dis-ease of my experience living. And so often I think if we're going to take the leap, it comes out of the dissatisfaction, or getting sacked, or something tragic happens, or something shifts. I feel like that's life's way to go, who are you going to be now? Who
Yeah.
are you? Like, what, it's an opportunity to do this work, and it can be done. It's like, when you fall in love and you meet someone who you fancy, you want to know all about them, right? You're like, who, what kind of food do you like? What's your favorite color? Where do you like to go? I feel like we need to date ourselves. I feel like we need to decide that we want to get to know who we are now that we've walked a while, now that we've failed at this and accomplished that, worked over there, been with that person, been over there with these people. What have we seen? What do we know? We're wiser than we know. We've got such wisdom. And that if we only we would just be deliberate about really understanding what it means to be you and what the nuance that you bring to the marketplace, and then do the work to really value that as something that in this time of great dynamic change is really needed right now, that your voice, that your contribution, your unique insights and your valuable ideas are really needed right now, if only we would value them and package them and bring them in a way that people can use. Like, this is the work of now for, I think, every leader, because a business as usual is obsolete.
Thank you so much, Dion. That is so inspiring. And, thank you so much for sharing your story and leaving with this very empowering message. Really enjoyed speaking with you. And I hope that we stay connected and find a way to see how we can actually collaborate and find more of these spaces, create, find, and collaborate in more of these spaces to allow women to have this voice. I mean, with Thrive, we try to do that with these one-on-one mentorings. And just yesterday, I came out of a closure session for one of our cohorts in Zurich, and the stories were just mind-blowing around, how when somebody really sees you, and in this case, it's a mentor, of course. And I think you're in some ways alluding to like an inner mentor, right? Like you need to really see yourself and then be able to bring that part of you, and it doesn't need to be bright and shiny. I think that's always sort of the way that we distance ourselves from some people. I can imagine that when people see you or see me on LinkedIn and we will post this and we will do that, they say, oh my God, we sometimes, look like these, shiny people that you see from a distance. And then a lot of the people, and I know that, they other us, right? They say that, this is the other person, this is not me. And I think that's what I'm trying to do with this particular podcast, that, don't other us, don't other Dion, don't other me.
Yeah.
We are women like you. We started like you, and it takes time, and it takes conviction, and it takes patience, and but it does work, and it does.
I think it takes intention. You need to set the intention that you want to know who you are, because you are valuable and you have some work to do. And then it takes commitment to go through that process. There's a lot of ups and downs, and it's a convoluted journey back to yourself. So commitment to really stay the course. And then it takes strategic thinking, planning, and strategic conversations. Like, I don't think we should do this on our own, that we should be seeking out the best support that we can. We should be developing our squad. Like, these are keys to and it's not something that happens once. It's not an event. It's taking this leap is a lifestyle choice. It's a leader style choice. It's something that you decide that you're going to live out. And then every conversation becomes an opportunity. Every meeting, everything that you do becomes an opportunity for you to step into it a little more and a little more.
Thank you, dear. Well, thank you once again. Have a very nice rest of your day today, and let's keep in touch. Bye for now.
Take care.
Take care.